So, in the next couple of minutes, we're gonna start. Just hang in there while we wait on others to join us. All right. So, we are free to introduce ourselves. I mean, if you're comfortable, introducing yourself, just write your name there. Tell us where you're coming from. If you're from Nigeria, just put it there. If you're from Ghana, if you're from Senegal, or any African countries, please let us be aware, of where our different participants are coming from. So we will really appreciate that. So actually we are not trying to wait on people. This is part of the event. We do for the first 5 minutes, we just do opening remarks. And okay, yes, a lot of people from Nigeria. Thank you. Yeah. Someone is from Ghana, even though he's Nigerian. Oluwatomisin, thank you for joining. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. All right, just keep it coming. Just keep it coming. Just keep it coming. Yeah. All right. So there's someone from Lesotho. Yeah. Thank you for joining us all the way from Lesotho. Yeah. I mean, we're in a very good time right now, where people can join all over the world. Distance is no longer a barrier. Hey, yeah. We're gonna start right now. So, the first thing I'm gonna do right now is just to introduce Scholars Connect. So, Scholars Connect is a platform that started in December 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully, my memory is still good. And the idea is for us to connect potential grad students, current grad students, and those who are done. So the plan is to connect them to resources that will help them in terms of career and professional development. So we have this kind of like three-pronged approach. So if you're a prospective student, we want to give you resources that will help you get into the grad school of your dreams all over the world, wherever you want to find yourself. And if you're a current student, we want to supply you with knowledge on how you can be a successful grad student. And if you are done, like me, if you're done with your with your graduate studies, want to connect with resources that are going to help you, in the job market, or if you are confused about what you want to do in terms of, do I should I go into the industry? Should I stay in academia? What can I do with the degree I have? So those are the kind of things we do. So we are trying to help people, gain access to knowledge, gain access to resources that will help them thrive. And like I said, we've started this uh event right from December 2020, but in 2021 it took different shapes. What I mean is that we have different events, especially in 2022. We had Twitter Spaces and we had our different what's it called, quarterly meetings. So we used to hold quarterly Zoom meetings like this, three, 4 times in a year. Then we have specialized sessions on Twitter Spaces, that comes up every month, except if something change, or if something changes, I mean, then we might not hold it. All right. So that is how we run our events as Touching Scholars Connect. So this January scholarship workshop, it's a different ball game. Typically we don't used to hold Zoom meetings in January. We used to hold Zoom meetings in March, April, May, June, March, June, September and December. So 4 times in a year. But because of the fact that we've missed several events uh, in the last 6 months, so we wanted to make up for that. And that is why we've set up this scholarship workshop so that you can gain something that will help you, especially since we're in the early stage of the year. So that you can gain knowledge that you need and run with it and you can actually gain access to the graduate school of your dream. So that is the idea behind this scholarship workshop. And we have loads of speakers. When I mean loads of speakers, these ones have experience. Uh, from different sphere of research. Different sphere of uh country destinations. So just sit tight. And I'm very, very sure that you're gonna gain a lot from today's event. So we're gonna hold it today, like we're currently doing, and we're gonna have it tomorrow as well. All right. So I don't know if you have any questions. So because of background noise, I emphasize that already during I mean in the chat box. Because of background noise, we're gonna have everybody muted or throughout. Then for the question and answer session as well, I want us to be muted. And so if you have a question, what you're gonna do is just to type your question in the chat box. I'm gonna read the question, and our speakers are gonna answer the question. Yeah, are we good with that? Yeah, both sessions, every of the sessions, they're gonna be recorded. Every of the sessions are gonna be recorded. So if you can't stay to the end, you can always have access to the sessions. Yeah. Any question before? All right. So the YouTube live stream is not ongoing currently because I'm trying to log into a Gmail account. So I'm waiting on someone to help me with access to that. Yeah, but as soon as that works out, I'm gonna send the link. All right, someone joined us from Pakistan. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Pakistan. All right. I think we're gonna. So I don't know if you're fine with the rules. It's just to help us, manage the audience, manage the participants, and I don't want interference. I know that some of us want to talk and ask the question, but I don't trust our background noise. So I rather just have everybody muted all throughout. And if you have questions, drop them in the chat box. Yeah. All right. So let's start. So we're gonna call on our first speaker. We just do yeah. I like our first speaker. Very down to earth. You know, very down to earth. So our first speaker today is Rachel Inyangetuk. She's a graduate student at Umeå University, Sweden. She's currently enrolled in the Masters in Public Health program. Research interests are in the areas of non-communicable diseases, particularly breast cancer epidemiology. So, you're free to ask her questions that might not even be related to what she's going to be talking about. I mean, in terms of so she's going to be talking to us about school and scholarship search. And because of our research interest, if you have questions about that, you can also ask the question during the Q&A session. So she's going to have the next couple of minutes to present. Then afterwards, we're going to have a Q&A session. All right. So, Rachel, over to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel. So hello, wherever you are in the world. I will be making a presentation on school and scholarship research. I will speak a lot, but I'll also try to do a short practical session to see how we can search for schools. If I am speaking too fast or at some point you cannot hear me, please put it in the chat box so I know that I am being heard and I'm actually communicating. So then I will share my screen now. Okay. Okay, so welcome again. So this is just what I'll go through, the introduction, what to do before you start searching, how to search, a very short live session, and then just a conclusion. And so I'm just going to start from the basics for everyone, whether you have started school searching or not. So typically, this session is especially for people that are going for their either master's program or they're looking for PhD programs. So typically when you are searching for programs, we have two kinds of programs. So we have course-based programs, and then we also have research-based programs. Scholarships, more often than not, are usually available for research-based programs, thesis-based programs, and not course-based programs. So those are the kind of programs you should go for, those programs that have a research component to them. However, before you start searching, these are some of the questions that you should ask yourself, even before you start looking for the supervisors and all of that. You begin to ask yourself, what countries am I interested in? So typically, most people are interested in going to the UK, Canada, the US. So ask yourself, am I interested in going to the US? Do I want to go to the UK? Am I looking at somewhere in Europe beside the UK, maybe Sweden or Norway or Switzerland? What kind of scholarships are you looking for? And when it comes to scholarships, there are different kinds of scholarships. So typically what I usually group them into are like internal and external kind of scholarships. The external scholarships are kind of what we call like the prestigious kind of scholarships, the scholarships that are not particular to any university. So they could be government-based kind of scholarship, like the China government scholarship. Like in Sweden, we also have one by the Swedish government. Even in Switzerland, they have the Swiss government scholarship. In France as well, we have the Fulbright scholarship, we have the Rhodes scholarship, we have the Commonwealth scholarship. So those are like kind of external kind of scholarships. And then we also have the internal kind of scholarships, which are the scholarships that are available at the level of the university and the level of the department. So then you ask yourself, what kind of scholarship am I going for? What kind of scholarship do I want? Do I want these kind of external kind of scholarship like the Commonwealth scholarship and Erasmus Mundus scholarship? Or am I looking at the scholarships that are offered at the level of the university or at the level of the department? And also, what kind of degree am I interested in? Am I interested in a master's? Am I interested in a PhD? And this is as regards some people that have just bachelor's. In some countries, like in the US, I'm aware that you can use your bachelor's and then you get a PhD. So then you ask yourself, do I want to go for a PhD or do I want to just go for a master's? I really don't want to go for a PhD. And what is also your research interest? You may have a background. I have a background in pharmacy, but now I'm doing my master's in public health. You may have a background in biochemistry or chemistry or something, and you may have a research interest that falls into different disciplines. So even though you're coming from the angle of, oh, I need biochemistry in my bachelor's, you may have a research interest that falls into environmental science. You may have a research interest that falls into chemistry. You may have a research interest that falls into different departments. So when or before you begin your school search, you don't have to be so specific as to say, I did my bachelor's in biochemistry, I did my bachelor's in pharmacy, therefore your research interest can fall into different disciplines or different departments, I would say. So when you begin to start your school search, don't be so like, it's biochemistry, therefore, if I'm searching for schools, then it's under like biochemistry. You might find out that it might run into different disciplines. And then under what fields of study am I likely to find supervisors with similar research interests, which is also in line with what I previously said. So you find that although I'm coming from this background, but I'm finding a supervisor that we have similar backgrounds or we have similar research interests, but you find that they are in slightly, complementary, I would say, disciplines. So those are the things that you should know before you begin your school search, the countries that you're interested in. And before I start, like, how do you even begin your school search? As much as a lot of people would say, oh, I want to go to the US, I want to go to Canada, I want to go to the UK. It's important for you to know that there are other study destinations outside of these big three. There's Asia, which is really good. We have like top universities in China and in South Korea. I know Peking University, I know Tsinghua universities. These are very good universities. And the thing is, as much as we try to say, I want to go to the US, I want to go to the US, sometimes the way the trajectory of life is that not everybody will go to the US, not everybody will go to Canada. You can go and you get your master's degree, for example, in China, and you can get your PhD because you're probably doing your master's in like a top 10 or a top 20 university in the world. Then you can get your PhD outside of China. You can pivot from there to go any other place in the world. You can move to Europe. Typically, most people go to the UK, but then there's Switzerland, there's Sweden, there's Finland, there's Norway. There are other European countries with very good quality of education that you can go to. So as much as you would want to apply in the US, you want to apply in Canada and UK, do not put the entirety of your energy just in these places. Spread your tentacles, spread your applications in different continents in the world. And then you can always move from there. You can always pivot from there. Just hold that. I do. And also, before searching, it's important that you get either a notebook, but then the world is very tech savvy. So then I would also advise, besides a notebook, always have an Excel sheet or a Google spreadsheet to write your findings. Because typically you would want to say, when you are searching for schools, I'm searching for schools in this continent. So assuming I'm searching for schools in North America. In North America, then I'm looking at Canadian universities. If you're looking at Canadian universities, when I go to this university, so on your spreadsheet, you have the continent or the country, the universities, the name of the supervisors that you have similar research interest, and most likely a link to the university website that you can put on the spreadsheet. Because it would be kind of redundant for you to search and not write. And then when you then need to apply, then you go back and start searching all over. So it's very important that you document a lot. There has to be a lot of documentation. And some of the most important information for you to look out for during your search is admission requirements. So yes, I want to go for a master's. Yes, I want to go for a PhD. But when you go to the university's website, and then we will have a short session. So we'll just go to one university's website and then we'll look at it. Every program has an admission requirement. For some programs, they will say, oh, we need GRE. Some will say we don't need GRE. Some will say, oh, we need either TOEFL or IELTS. Some will say we don't need. Some will say you must have a minimum CGPA of this. So every program has their admission requirements. So when you go to a school, as much as you say, I'm going for a master's in this, when you go to a school, it's important that these are the things that you should watch out for when you are doing your school search. You should look for the admission requirements to see if I am a good fit for this program. Also, you need to check out the funding policy and package. I would assume that for most people that are in this session, the purpose for which you're doing this is because you want a scholarship to be able to study. And so if the program does not have funding for you, then you just know that, okay, I strike this off my list. This university is not on my list. I go to the website, I check, and there is what's the funding package for? Is there a guaranteed funding package? What's the package like? So I know that if there's no funding in this department, then this program is not for me. And then also for some universities, especially Canadian universities, they may not, some Canadian universities and some US universities as well, it might not be explicitly stated about the funding package, but then you know that if you are able to secure a supervisor, because this is how it works, you have a supervisor, the supervisor has a grant, and the supervisor recruits students, which could be you, either master's students or doctoral students, recruit students, and then pays the students. So then some programs require that you should secure a supervisor. And for programs that require you to secure a supervisor, it's usually written on the website. And you know that if you have to secure a supervisor, that means you have to cold email, you have to send a supervisor email before you send in your application. These are the things you need to check on the website. So for this program, assuming I'm going for a master's in biomedicine, in this university, do I need a supervisor on your spreadsheet? Yes. And then you can look for supervisors that have similar research interests and say, oh, I have seen these supervisors or 3 supervisors that have research interest in this, research interest in that, research interest, we fit, and then we go together. There are also some programs, even doing the same masters in biomedicine or public health, and then you go to some schools and they're like, No, for this program, you do not need a supervisor. So you need to ensure and check that for schools that I need a supervisor, for schools that I don't need a supervisor, you write them down, you differentiate them, as well as supervisors with a similar research interest. So, for example, someone like me, my research interest is breast cancer epidemiology, and then I'm in the public health field. So it is a bit off for me to say, okay, I found a school. Yes, I meet the admission requirements. Okay, yes, they have funding. Yes, I need to secure a supervisor. Yes, then I find a supervisor, and the supervisor is probably interested in indigenous populations, assuming maybe like in Australia, the supervisor is interested in indigenous populations, and then I'm interested in breast cancer epidemiology. And we are looking at two different things, and I'm sending the supervisor a cold email saying, "Oh, I would like you, blah blah blah, but my research interest is in breast cancer." Supervisors are just like, "What's going on?" So you're not a fit. So it's important that you find supervisors that have similar, not necessarily the same, but a similar research interest. And then you also have to check, does the program require me to pay an application fee? And I would say this is very continent dependent. In Europe, in a lot of Europe, let me not say in a lot of European countries, but in Europe, we usually don't pay a lot of application. We don't, I would say, some European countries, especially for PhD, nope, because it's usually like a job. So you just apply, for your PhDs without application fees. But I know that in the US and in Canada and in even in South Korea, I had applied before to South Korea, and the university I applied to, I don't think I even paid an application fee. So it's different. So then you have to check, because as much as you say, I want to apply to this number of schools, you also have to look at your finances, because you might need to take some standardized tests. You might need to take your test of English for foreign languages, your IELTS. You might need to take all of that. That costs a lot of money. So you should know that I'm going to pick maybe 5 or 6 schools which I'm going to apply. And I'm going to apply. And when I'm applying to these schools, I have to ensure that if they have application fees, I'm able to pay these application fees. I have checked that I am the best fit for that program. That is, I meet the admission requirements for that program. I have checked and I have guaranteed that there's a funding package available for these programs. If I need to secure a supervisor, at least I have done so. If I do not need to secure a supervisor, you have checked and ensured that that is okay. And also, we also have application deadlines, especially for people that are interested in funding. So you might sometimes, when you go and search in a school, you find that there are different deadlines. So they will tell you, okay, this is a priority deadline for funding. So if you're interested in funding by this date, you should have sent in your application if you're interested in funding. It's important that you check that. And then it's also important that for some schools, they also have deadline for international students. The deadline for international students and the deadline for the students that are already residents in the country are quite different. And so these are some of the very important things you have to ensure that you check when you are searching on the school's website, as well as information for international students. So you go to the website, you go through all of these things that I have mentioned, but sometimes there are also some specific information for international students. It's important that you check. And when you go through the website, you've read through the website, and then you still have questions and you're not really sure, there's usually a graduate coordinator, and they usually have the emails of graduate coordinators of almost every program for which you can send an email to. If there is something that you are confused about, if there's something that you're unsure of, you can always send an email to the graduate coordinator. Okay? And then now we come to this, which is typically how to search. There are multiple ways to search. So first of all, it's Google. I understand that it can be school search can be very time consuming and very exhaustive, because there are a lot of universities. If you're looking only at the US, they probably have over 2,000 universities in the US. In Canada, they have a lot of universities. So imagine you have to go through all of these universities' websites and search them. go down to the programs department, search the supervisors. It can be time exhausting and it can be a lot, but these are some of the strategies that can help you. It is still time consuming, but that's the effort you have to put in. Nothing good comes easy. So the first one we start with is by using Google, and then you use Google with the keywords in Google. You cannot just say you can go and you can't just say biochemistry this. Sometimes you have to boil down to your research interest. So if you say public health MSc in the US, you would see that a number of universities will come out for public health. You put public health MSc in the US, or you can say environmental science MSc in the US. And then if I want to go down to my research interest, I can say, oh, breast cancer epidemiology PhD in Canadian universities. I can even be more specific. I can say, oh, health inequalities or racial inequalities in just you. It depends on how you are able to frame or phrase your question and put it on Google. So Google is a very, very, very good resource for you to use. Another resource I'm going to talk about here, and I think if I have the time, I'll be able to show you, is actually ChatGPT, especially for external scholarships. Because these external scholarships, they are literally in every continent, even in Africa. So you can go to ChatGPT and then you can put on ChatGPT list of master scholarships in Europe, list of master scholarship in the United States, list of master scholarship in Canada, and then it gives you a list of these scholarships, and then you can then begin to check on them individually. Oh, then it gives you a list: Commonwealth scholarship, Fulbright scholarship, the SI scholarship. It just gives you a list. So I would say ChatGPT is also a very useful tool for checking school search and scholarship search, especially for external based scholarships, which are the ones that are not limited to like universities. Typically, they are offered by either bodies or they are offered by the government. So it's a very good, useful resource for that. Google is another one. And then these websites, 4ICU is an amazing website. It has almost all the universities in the world on that website, every continent, every country, because it's exhausting for you to start going to say universities in South Korea. So, but this website, it has all the continents. So you just go, assuming I just go to Africa, or I go to Europe, or I go to North America, and then I just say, okay, where am I going to? I'm going to Canada. And then you go to Canada, and then it gives you a list of the universities by their countries, by the regions or the counties or the province. Then you can select a university, and then it takes you straight to the university. There's a link on this 4ICU, and then it takes you to the university's website, and then you can search and take out the information that you want. So that's like literally one of the best tools, I would say, when it comes to searching for schools and scholarships. And then another one that I also use is searching on databases, on scholarly databases. So scholarly databases are like databases that have like scholarly articles, reviews, publications. They're on these databases. The two top most popular ones are Google Scholar and then Scopus. So typically, what I do is, assuming I want to go for a PhD. I want to go for a PhD, and I'm looking at still in breast cancer, maybe racial disparities in breast cancer mortality. Then I go there and I type it in, and then I will see articles, and then you can filter. Like the left hand of these databases, you can actually filter. Because if it's an article, then I can filter, okay, maybe from 2022 or from 2023. Then I see recent articles. When I see those recent articles, I go and I look at the authors of these articles. So especially when I see a 2023 article, there's a very high chance that that supervisor or those authors still have grants for those projects. So then I check the authors, and I check the university. So I kind of trace back. I check the author, and then from the articles that I have seen in that research area or that research interest I am interested in, I check the names of the authors, and then I say, okay, this author, find which university, and I say, okay, maybe it's University of Calgary or University of Alberta, and then I look at the name, and then I trace the university, and then I'm able to go to the school's website, and then I see the author, and then I check the name of the author, and then I say, okay, maybe it's University of Calgary or University of Alberta, and then I look at the name, and then I trace the university, and then I'm able to go to the school's website, and then I see the author, and then I find them and then I send them a cold email. So I think it's also a very useful resource because I get to see like exactly those, I would say the supervisors that I think the very high probability they still have their research grant. So typically I would search for whatever my research interest is, I put it in there. Then I begin to see articles. I just limit it to 2023, so from last year, and then I just backtrace it. I just backtrace it, author, university, and then I send you a cold email. So I would say that's also another useful resource. So you can use these databases. You can also use Google. It depends on how you coin your question. So don't just put, if you put something random, it will give you something random. So you have to be specific with your questions, and then you can limit it in the United States, in Australia. But the thing is, when you're doing your school search, I would advise you do not do it in a haphazard manner because then it gets very tiring. So you might say, I want to take it continent by continent, or I want to take it country by country. So I can say, okay, today I'm going to SK, I'm going to South Korea. And then you can, this week, I'm looking at South Korea, and then you can go through South Korean universities, go to all of the websites, check the research interest, put them in your notebook, either in your notebook. If you're sometimes you might not be with your system, or you feel like, oh, using a spreadsheet on my phone is so tiring. I know that WhatsApp now has a feature where you can send messages to yourself. So if you get a supervisor with a similar research interest, you can just copy the link and send it to yourself. Just copy the link and just be sending it to yourself. And then when because sometimes I sometimes do that when I'm just on my phone and I'm just tired and so I'm sending it to myself, and then the next day when I feel much stronger, then I can put it in a spreadsheet and make it look nice. So that's also something that you can do. And typically that's what you do for school search or scholarship search. But now I'm going to do a session. Okay, then I'm going to make a live session so we can see how to search for schools, and I'm going to use the 4ICU website. Okay. So this is the website, this website. Just hold on a bit. Good. So this is the website, the 4ICU website, and then I just want to know, please, I just want to
We can't see it now, so I think you might need to stop sharing your current screen.
Okay.
So that, yeah.
Okay. Please, can you see it now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so this is the 4ICU website, and then these are the different, and then it shows you universities here by the different continents. And so you just come here, North America, Latin America, Europe, different countries. So I'm just going to do North America, assuming I'm doing North America, and I want to go to our B, Canada. So then you see that there are different universities, and these are universities by provinces and territories. And then I come to Alberta. And in Alberta, we have University of Alberta, University of Calgary, different universities. And then I come to University of Alberta. And then when you come down here, where you see this University of Alberta, this is just a link to the website, the school's website. So you just click on this, and it takes you to the school's website. Good. And it takes you to the school's website. So now we're on University of Alberta's website. And then there are different things here on the dashboard: admissions and programs, colleges, research, different things. And so now I'm there on the website. Now there's graduates, there's undergraduates. So assuming now I'm on graduates and I'm looking for graduate programs. And then I come to explore programs. And then we have different programs here, and I will just search using my own field. But there are different faculties here. If my screen is bold enough for you to see, there are different faculties. So whether you're in nursing, any of the health sciences, engineering, education, business, agriculture, you can come to the faculties here. But then I'll come to public health. And then master's thesis based, like I said, there are different kinds of programs. You have course-based programs, you have thesis-based programs. Thesis-based programs are programs that have a research component to them. So those are the programs that would most likely have funding. So and then I come here. And then now I am on the website. That's the program website. So this is the School of Public Health, the program. And then you can see there are different information here. You can explore their different programs in the public health website. Even under public health, we have different epidemiology and biostatistics, community health. There are different things. I'm just trying to kind of rushly give you guys an overview of what school search is about. So just hold on, please. Then we can explore the programs here. Assuming I now want to come for a PhD program. Okay, so we have PhD, epidemiology, different kinds of, and the same thing I'm doing here is typically the same thing you do for just about any program on just about any website. You go to the website, you go to the department website. So if it's an MSc, if it's a PhD, you just boil down, you just keep searching. And then assuming now I say, okay, fine, I'm going for a PhD in epidemiology. You have a PhD in epidemiology. And then you have on the website, you have emails, phone number, and then you have researchers and supervisors for this program. And then you come here to like meet our faculty. Typically, some people call them, or some programs call them faculty, some programs call them different things. And then here on this school's website, they're arranged according to research areas. So now I'm coming to here, epidemiology. And then I begin to see like different researchers. I can see that this professor is investigating this. This professor is investigating this. This professor is investigating this. I see different supervisors. Now, these are the supervisors that have the grants that I want. These are the supervisors that can fund me. These are the supervisors that if, assuming now I'm interested in, let me just pick one of them. So this supervisor now, I can see here that, okay, this is his contact, this is his email. So if I go through his profile and he says, oh, my research interest is focused in clinical epidemiology, and I begin to see diabetes, heart failure, and in whichever school's website, they will always put what their research interest is in. And I see that, okay, this is someone that's, I'm interested. Then I have his email. Then I can send him a cold email. And then from here, I know his name. And then I can see that, okay, I can check his publications. And then you can read up on some of his publications and know if, okay, he's had recent publications, or you can check on Google Scholar, you can check wherever. and then you have a good idea of his research interest, and then you can send him a cold email. So typically, these are like the things that you also search for. So you go to the school, you search for the supervisors, you check for the research interest, the program you want, you check for the research interest, you go through the supervisors, you check, okay, do they match my research interest? If they match my research interest, I put it on my spreadsheet. I know that, okay, for University of Alberta, that's it. I'm going for this. They match my research interest. And then I also come here and I see, just hold on. I come to admissions. Sorry, I don't know why my system is. And then I come here and I come to what is needed, what is required. What is needed, what is required. So then admission requirements. I want to know, am I a good fit for this program? And then they say, okay, this is what we need. We need that you should have had, for the MSc programs, you should have had at least a bachelor degree. You should have a bachelor's degree. You should have a GPA of at least 3.0 out of 4.0. You should also have an experience. It's a preference will be given to those applicants with experience in the public health related field. There's also program requirements for people that are going for a PhD. And they say, okay, you should have a GPA of 3.4 out of 4. You should have a master's degree. So you know that, okay, then for this program, it's not like the US where this is not the kind of program, or for this school, I can't use a bachelor's. I don't even think it's common in Canada. It's common in the US. I cannot use a bachelor's to get a PhD here. I know that if I have a GPA of 2.5 out of 4, it might be a difficult stretch. It's doable in some cases if you have a very good interaction or a very good relationship with the supervisor that you send a mail to, and they see that you have good experience, either research experience, public health experience, and it's just the GP. Then they might be like, okay, then we can maybe probably bypass that. And then they also talk about experience as well. And they say, like I said, typically, if a program wants you to have a supervisor, it's usually stated. So they say for PhD applicants, before being accepted, you must identify a supervisor who agrees to supervise your thesis research. So these are some of the things I talked about. And we also have application deadlines as well. And we have, for the course-based programs, for the MSc programs, they also give you information about the English language proficiency. So if you're going to submit an English language test, for those people that are exempt from it, the scores that are needed. So these are the things that you use to search for schools, for programs, for scholarships. And typically in Canada, University of Alberta, there are about 15 universities in Canada, which are the schools that have like the most scholarships. And so most of their programs are typically funded. Their research-based programs, of which University of Alberta is amongst them. So it's important that when you go to a school's website, these are the things that you are searching for. You are searching for, do I need a supervisor? You are searching for the admission requirement, what is required, what is not required of me. Do I have, if assuming now I want to check, and I just want to assume now that I am in Nigeria. So let me check this English language proficiency. Do I need it? Do I not need it? As assuming as maybe like in Nigeria. I really don't know why my system is a bit slow. So I can check. You can check if maybe your country or your university is on the exemption list. Nigeria is actually for this university now. So countries in which English is the official language of instruction. So then I know that, okay, for University of Alberta and for the program, master's or a PhD in public health, I don't need to submit IELTS, I don't need to submit TOEFL, because these are the countries they have recognized that are exempt. So this is just basically how you do your school search, and this is for Canada. When you come to, I think typically this same method is what is applied in the US and in Korea as well. However, when you come to Europe, for example, when you come to Sweden, for example, the universities are not really, you don't really need to secure a supervisor and all of that. So it's important also, something I haven't even mentioned is that when you begin your school search or before you begin your school search, it's important that you also think, as much as you can pivot from whichever country, as much as I can say, I want to go to the US, but I'm not able to go to the US now. Maybe I go to China and then from China, I can move from there. But for some people that assuming they want to go for a PhD or they say, I'm not really looking to pivot. It's important that you know that if you're going to a certain country, you should also think about it critically. And when you're thinking about critically, you're thinking about it long term, you're thinking about, do I want to reside in this country? If you're not in Canada, if you're not in Australia, if you're not in the US, if you're not in the UK, you know that if you're going to Europe, for example, everywhere in Europe, every European country, as much as 99% of them, I would say for most European countries, can't speak English, you do know that integration into the society is dependent on the language. So if you're in Sweden, it's Swedish. If you're in Germany, it's German. Whatever language is predominant in those countries are what are needed for integration into those societies. So when you're going for either whether you're applying for external scholarships or you're looking for scholarships at the level of the university, it's important that these are things that you also take into mind, especially if you're thinking long term. As well as I think China and SK, yes, your program may be English based. Yes, people may be able to understand you. But if you're also thinking long term, it's also important that you know that, assuming I want to settle, I want to go to a country in Europe, and I say, okay, I don't think North America is for me. I think I'll just go to Europe. It's important that you know that integrating, because I think that as much as we want to study, we want to search for schools and all of these things are tied to our future goals. So you know that if you're going to study in these places and you want to settle in these places, it's important that you know that at the end of the day, the language that is dominant in those areas, yes, they're very good at English as well, but the language that is dominant in those areas, I have to learn them. So if you're Norwegian or Finnish or Swedish or German, you have to learn them. So I just thought to put that out there as well. So that was just an example of using this 4ICU website of how to do a school search. I know it was very rushed, but I just had to show you that. So basically, everything that you are looking for is on the school's website. You can come to the 4ICU, go to the country, go to either the counties or the provinces, however they are arranged. You pick up and then you check, and then you begin to check. Do they have scholarships? And then it's usually on the website. Do you have scholarships? Do you have this? Do you need a supervisor? Do I need in IELTS? Do I need TOEFL? For this program now, it's not stated that they need GRA. So clearly you know that, okay, for this program, then I don't need GRA. But at least for English requirements is stated, and then you know if you are exempt or not. So basically, that's how to search for, and you know that more often than not, although it's in Canadian universities, I know if you go to the University of Manitoba, Queen's University as well, you even see where they state their awards, like, oh, every year you get a minimum of $22,000 plus, 22,000 plus Canadian dollars. And for schools, especially where they require you to, that you need a supervisor, that's typically an indirect way of saying that this program is funded. So that's usually much ado about school search. So we'll just go back to the website. So that was for Canada. And I don't know, I don't really have a lot of time. I think I'm almost out of time. But it's the same thing for, I could just quickly show you guys for even Asia. For even Asia, you can see like different countries, Korea. And then you see like different universities. Assuming we go to Busan. But for then when you go to Korea, and even for a lot of European schools as well, you just need Google Translate to just quickly translate the pages into English, because a lot of them are in their languages. So assuming I want to go to Busan National University, then I just go down, and you just remember it's just here, just this little thing here. You click on it, it takes you to the university's website, and then you're just able to search for the programs that you want. Good. And then you're already here. You see university, graduate school, admission, employment, just different things. And then you can begin to search under university, graduate school. I'm already seeing College of Humanities, College of Pharmacy, Natural Sciences. So you just click on whichever one you want. The College of Pharmacy, wherever it takes you, you just search the different you just go there, you search, you see the different supervisors, the research interest, just whatever information you're looking for. You can go to the home page, and then you see the emails of the supervisor. You also see, you just don't have a lot of time, the graduate coordinators, which are important. You see all of these things, you search, and then you send an email. And then for the external scholarships, you can just use ChatGPT to know like the list of these scholarships in, assuming in Europe, and then you see Commonwealth, and then you go and check on Commonwealth websites, and then Commonwealth, you just check what the scholarship is about. Just, you can use different resources. There's Google, there's Twitter. Twitter is also another very useful. Instead of being on Twitter and just dragging people every day, you can just use it as a tool that's to your advantage. So you just use Twitter. There are a lot of scholarship enthusiasts on Twitter. They're always posting, oh, there's this opening in my university, in that university, this university. You can always search on YouTube. There are a lot of resources as well, that people that have videos. We also have a YouTube page, Scholars Connect on YouTube, different videos. Instead of being on TikTok and Instagram and fighting up and down, you just go to the YouTube pages, and then you just watch these videos and just enhance this skill. It's not going to be easy at first. And there are a lot of people that don't even know, yes, I know I graduated from pharmacy or I graduated from biochemistry, but do I really have a research interest? People don't really sometimes know. But then you start. Just something that you might have, vague interest in, or you just start, and then you get better at it, and you just keep getting better at it. So I think I'm just going to stop this practical, because I have 5 minutes, so I just conclude the slide. I had one slide to go, which was the conclusion. Okay, so these are the things that I have already said. So I'll just reemphasize on them, that you should remember that research-based programs are more funded than course-based programs, depending on the country, depending on the continent. I would say this is very applicable in US, in Canada, and even in Europe. In Europe, every PhD position is funded. Let me not say the entirety of Europe. Most European countries, every PhD position is funded, because it's just a job. It's like a job. You get a PhD, you even get a work contract. So you don't hear people doing PhD with their money. It's always funded. In the US, it's not true for everyone, but there are some people that have said that it's easier for you to get a PhD than a master's, because a PhD, because of the length of time, there's no guarantee that you'll be there for the entire duration of the project, as opposed to just 2 years doing your master's. And it is country and continent specific. PhD programs typically have more funding than master's programs. It applies in the US. And I also said in some European countries, all PhD studies are funded. Prepare to spread your school search. Don't just say it is Canada, it is US, it is UK. Just spread your tentacles. There are really amazing universities all over the world. In China, in South Korea, in Sweden, we have Karolinska, which is, way, way, way up there. In Switzerland, in the Netherlands, we have the really good, in Germany, really brilliant universities all over the world. I understand that you want to go to an English speaking country, you want to in it, but you can always pivot. You can always pivot. And then don't forget to take down notes. It's a process that you have to document a lot. So don't forget to take down notes. Don't forget to put your sheets, the links, the link to the supervisor's webpage with the research interest, everything should be orderly. Else it becomes really, really cumbersome for you. And then you pay attention to the program requirements. You don't see that assuming a program, you're going to pay application fee of $150, and then you're seeing CGPA of 3.4 out of 4, and you have a CGPA of maybe like 2.7, and then you don't have IELTS, you don't have TOEFL, you don't have GRE. Your research interest is not just a sprinkle, and you say, I'm going to apply, I will get it. Well, you can always put your best foot forward. You should ensure that you're actually the best fit for those programs. So if you're saying that your GP is off by a few marks as opposed to what is required, you should come very strong in the other areas, in your essays, in the other documents that are required, either your statement of purpose, your letter of intent, the other documents that are required for you, because the application is a very wholesome thing. It's not that you're judged only on the basis of your CGPAs, but if you're off by a few points, you should ensure that the other areas that are required, either your application documents, your CV, your standardized tests, you're coming very strong in those areas. Because $150 is a lot of money for you to pay for a program that you are not sure of and you're not a good fit for. And then pay attention to the program requirements and the funding policy. There's no money in the school, just say, it was good while it lasted, you move on to the next school and you don't waste your time there. Except, of course, you want to self-fund yourself, but if there's no funding, then you can absolutely move on to the next school and just leave that. And then what if you're unclear about any information, and even if you even search on the web page and it's not clearly stated, is it funded or is it not funded, you can always send email to the graduate coordinator. So always send email, build that communication with the graduate coordinator for information that's not clearly stated. Whatever it is that you are confused about, the graduate coordinators are typically in the best place to put you through. Remember, Google, Twitter, YouTube, they are your best friends in the scholarship journey. And I think that is the end of my presentation. So thank you everyone so much. I want to say a special thanks to Comfort and God Service. These slides were fully adapted from their previous slides. So then I have to thank them and appreciate them as well. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you so much, Rachel, for that wonderful presentation. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it didn't occur to me. I've used ChatGPT for so many things, but it didn't occur to me that I can actually use it to get those hidden scholarships. Thank you so much for that. So please, this point, if you have any question, we're going to take questions for the next 40 minutes, because we have to wrap up this session by 12:15. So, sorry, I'm talking based on my own time. By that will be 6:15 Nigeria. So please go ahead and ask your questions in the chat box. I will read the questions out, and our speaker, she's gonna respond to the questions. Yeah. So I think there's a question here. So Mayowa Oguniran asks, please, is there a way we can get sample code? I know what he's trying to say. Sample code email to potential supervisor to whether there's funding before applying. Okay. Yeah. I think when we want to talk about code emailing and CV, we're going to address that. So only ask questions related to maybe our research interest or something related to what she presented on. Yeah. John Agu said, please, can one get abroad with the GP of 2.08? So, Rachel, do you want to answer that?
Sorry, please, can you take the question again?
Okay. All right, sorry, one more. Just give me one second. So please, can one get admission to study masters abroad with a CGPA of 2.08?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, it's not admission is not dependent on just that one metric, which is your CGPA. It's dependent on the number of things. It's dependent on your research experience, the other documents you have to submit. And I think that if you know that your GP is low, then ensure that you take standardized tests, take your GRE, take your test of English for foreign languages or IELTS. Do other things to boost your profile and make your profile competitive. Don't say, I just have the GP. There should be other things in which you are coming strong in. So just that GP should not stop you. You can put strength in other things as well. So absolutely yes.
All right, so let me check another question. Someone asked something about, you mentioned something about code email. How do one go about this? We're going to answer that in the next session. That's the next session. So anything about code emailing, CV, essays, please leave that until the next session, please. Just ask any question related to school or scholarship search, or if you're interested in knowing about research. Those are the questions I'm expecting, please. So I think Olauya, Mumi, or Axel, please, what was the link again earlier used that had the list of the schools? So I would like Richard to just mention it again so that people can hear the link that showed all
For
these schools.
ICU, for
Yeah.
ICU.org. Four as in the number four, and then I for international, C for carrot, U for umbrella. So it's four. I can just, since I'm still sharing, I can just go there. Yes, this this 4icu.org. This. So that's just the website, www.4icu.org. And then you have just any continent, any country, you just go there. So you can, that's it.
All right, so let me go to the other questions. All right. So someone is asking this question. I don't know how best Rachel can answer this one. Please, which one is better, Erasmus or US scholarships? Which one is
That's
better, Erasmus or US scholarships?
that's dependent on the I think it's very individual specific, because if you ask me now, I have a bias towards the US, so I would say Erasmus. But if you ask other people, they would say the US. It depends. I think in terms of the funding offer, it's typically the same. In terms of the funding package, it's typically the same. So it's just that Erasmus seems more prestigious, but in terms of the money, it's typically also the same like other scholarships. And then for an Erasmus, you can do your masters in like two countries. For also an Erasmus scholarship, the visa, you can tour the Schengen area. So I just like the European area. But then when you finish your program, depending on the second European country where you're doing, they are like, when you finish, can I leave the country? Can I get a post study permit? There are other things you have to consider. There are a lot of things that you have to consider. So I would say it depends very much on the individual.
All right, thank you so much, Rachel, for that. So someone asked this question. I've been in the field since 2018. I have good grades and professional experience of 2 years, but no publication. How can I increase my admission chance?
Or which course?
The
If
person did not mention it. Yeah,
okay,
we can,
but if
yeah.
it's for even if it's for a master's, even without a publication, if you have very good research experience, even without a publication, you can very much land a scholarship. Even without a publication, you have very good grades, good research experience. I mean, like for example, in Sweden, there's the Swedish Institute scholarships. They're not even interested in your grades and all that. They're interested in leadership experiences, volunteering experiences, working experiences. Nobody even has time to look at whether you published or not. So you see people that have been working for a number of years, they're getting the scholarships. So it's dependent, very, very dependent. And you should know that scholarships, it's not tied to because you published or because you did. It's a lot of things are considered in the process. Publication, GP experiences. So if you have good grades and have good experiences as well, I think you're good to go.
All right, so we're going to try to answer as many questions we can uh, between the time that we have. But if we cannot do that, the speaker is going to respond to each questions, and you can get your responses from there. All right, so but we're going to try. Let me go to the next one. I'm interested in forensic biochemistry,
Mm.
but I have no experience in it. Even doing my project, I did something not related to it. Can I still get admission to MSc or PhD?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Which countries are you interested in? Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. You
All right.
absolutely can.
All right, so let me go to the next one. Uh, Please, I've done my MSc already, but thinking of taking it again before my PhD. Hope that will not be a problem to get an admission. My research interest is in oncology. So someone has taken MSc before, but the person is thinking of taking it again before PhD. Hope that will not be a barrier. Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the country.
Mm,
And if are you changing research fields or but yes, absolutely. If you took a master's before, you can take another master's again. But then you also have to be careful because there are some programs, like I know there's a scholarship that's currently ongoing in Netherlands. And for people that are applying, they'll tell you, oh, if you have a master's and you want to. So sometimes you might need to withhold that information from them that you have the previous MSc. But for a number of
mm,
countries, they really don't care. So you can
that's true.
absolutely do that.
Yeah. Just to add to that as well, yeah. For example, I've seen a lot of people do that. They have masters and they will now apply for bachelors in the US just because they want to use the opportunity for immigration potential. Sometimes you will be given the admission, but while you're doing the visa, because it's not only just about the admission, it's about how do I get to the country. So even if you get the admission, for example, most visa officers at the US embassy always frown at it. They will ask you questions. You have a master's already, especially if you put the information out there. Why do you want to do a bachelor's? You must be able to justify it. And sometimes a lot of people have experienced, rejections. So please just oppose your decisions based on all these realities. Yeah. All right. So I think we're gonna take two more or three more. Let me try. All right. Assuming one have a research interest in a topic like zinc psilocybin, and the person you want to collaborate with is on silicon psilocybin, will the person be accepted?
No, but it's different. It's your interests have to match. Like I cannot be interested in Eba and you're interested in I don't know, Semu. Although they are both grains, but the funding is towards this. You have to understand that this is what they are funded for. And so they cannot now leave silicon and start working on zinc. So you just have to try and find someone in your area.
All right. So I think the only addition I'm going to add to that is that that can be a pivot for you, like an experience. For example, uh, I worked on housefly. This is an hypothetical situation. I worked on housefly uh, as an undergraduate student, but I'm interested in mosquitoes. I can use that as a leverage. That, oh, I've had experience working with insects, but I want to go away from mechanical vectors like houseflies. I want to do more of blood feeding arthropods. You know that is the only way you can. I don't know if I'm speaking your mind, Rachel. That's the only
Yeah.
way you can align those kind of things. But if there are fields that are opposite, I mean, you don't want to try it. Because they will prioritize someone that have an experience in that field already.
Mm.
All right, so let me go again. I mean, I love all these questions coming forward. Yeah. How can I know a fully funded scholarship? How can I know if a fully funded scholarship cover travel costs?
Well, I have to tell you for university based scholarships, 90% of them do not cover travel costs. The scholarships that cover travel costs are typically external scholarships. So like SI scholarships, Commonwealth, and those are the ones that cover travel costs. When it comes to university and at the level of the department, they just handle the expenses when you're there. So how you will move, teleport, japa, magnets, however way you take yourself from your country to that side is fully your business. So I
Yeah,
have to
that's
tell
true.
you that.
Yeah, that's the reality, especially for most US admissions. So you have to think about it. We've experienced a lot of people come on Twitter, raise
Yes.
fund, raise
Yeah.
fund. So think about it. I was fortunate in my own time. I paid for mine. I got here, and my advisor, did kind of like a reimbursement for me. So sometimes
That's
some things like
nice.
that work. But when you're looking at external scholarships like Chevney, they will tell you upfront they're gonna pay. Commonwealth is gonna pay. Erasmus Money is gonna pay. Japanese Mex is gonna pay upfront. So always watch out for those. So this is gonna be the last question. So please, Rachel, if it is possible for you, go ahead, go through the chat box and start
Mm,
responding to some of the questions that we'll not be
okay.
able to cover. So I'm going to take this last one. 1 second, 1 second. Okay. Okay, someone said you should share your LinkedIn profile. You can do that. All right, so this is the last one I would like us to take. Can you recommend any course or skills one can acquire to boost one's chance for admission to a PhD program? So I think you should just round up on that one. Yeah.
It depends on the program, but research, analytical skills are just analytical skills. You have to know. I mean, even public health now, there's a lot of analytical skills. You have to know how to use R, SPSS. You have to do that. Them. If your head can carry machine learning, well, go for it. So I think research experience in whatever field that you're interested in, and then I think there's almost no field now that you do not analyze data. So analytical skills as well. Application for PhD, try as difficult as it may seem, try and at least have research article, at least something for publication or a research article to the best of your ability. So that's what I would say.
All right. Thank you so much, Rachel. I would like us to, give a round of applause to our speaker. She really tried. Thank you so much for helping out. So for other questions that have not been addressed, please be patient with us. We'll try and go through the chat box and respond to the next to all those questions.